Hello everyone. Today I picked up RC passage from CAT 2018. It had appeared in the slot 1 section of CAT. Now when we say RCs in CAT, now RCs in CAT are from diverse subjects and diverse domains. So that you can expect this passage as you see out here is based on psychology. Other passages you can have philosophy, you can have art, literature, science, management, history, linguistics, and a lot of other domains and subjects can bring in a wide variety of perspectives. So a person who is well read and has an eclectic style of reading will definitely have a positive advantage when it comes down to the English section. Let's have a look at this passage and let's try answering the questions that follow. Economists have spent most of the 20th century ignoring psychology, positive or otherwise. So it's said that economists have ignored psychology. But today, so whenever we read passages, words like but, yet, so, these are kind of keywords that we need to pay special attention to. So when I say economists have spent most of the 20th century ignoring psychology, but so now we see a transformation. Psychology is no longer ignored. There is a great deal of emphasis on how happiness can shape global economies. So happiness is a human emotion, something to do with psychology. It is now being figured out that it can shape global economies. This is driven in part by a trend towards measuring positive emotions. So we are talking in terms of something like measuring happiness, mostly how it can be optimized. How can I figure out ways to make people happy? Neuroscientists, for example, aim to be able to locate specific emotions such as happiness or disappointment in particular areas of the brain. We are having wearable technologies such as Spire offer data-driven advice on how to reduce stress. So they are continuously measuring us, and whenever we feel stressed, whenever we feel disappointed, they automatically come up with suggestions and solutions on how to reduce stress. We are no longer dealing with happiness in a philosophical or a romantic sense. It has become something that is monitored and measured, including by our behavior, use of social media, bodily indicators such as pulse rate and everything else. Okay, there is automatic, there is nothing sinister about it, but it is disquieting. The business and experts driving the quantification of happiness claim to have our best interests at heart, often concealing their own agendas in the process. In the workplace, happy workers are viewed as a win-win. So my company will always like me to be happy. Now, if we realize this, always being happy is technically not possible. And if let's say if I'm sad, my boss can have a field day, fire me out for possibly not being happy because he realizes that happy people are more productive. But this is now being pursued through the use of performance evaluating wearable technologies such as Human Eyes or Virgin Pulse, both of which monitor physical signs of stress and activity towards the goal of increasing productivity. Cities such as Dubai have pledged to become even more the happiest city in the world. They are figuring out elaborate and intrusive ways of collecting data on the well-being of individuals. Imagine I'm continuously under surveillance. My facial expressions, my moods, all are being captured in public spaces. New ways of detecting emotions are hitting the market all the time. One company beyond verbal, aims to calculate moods conveyed in a phone conversation. So, trying to say we cannot be ourselves. We have to be always pretend to be happy, pretend to be at our best selves, potentially without the knowledge of at least one of the participants. And Facebook demonstrated that it will influence our emotions by tweaking the news feeds. So it is not what we want to read, it is Facebook that manipulates or manages what we read. opening the door to even more targeted manipulation in advertising and influence. As science grows more sophisticated and technology becomes more intimate with our thoughts, a clear trend is emerging. Happiness indicators, which were once used as a basis to reform society, are now being used to transform or discipline individuals. So the goal of happiness indicators is to ensure that people are always happy. They cannot be themselves. Happiness becomes a personal project. That is what another way of saying things that each of us must now work on. Since the 1970s, depression has been used as a cognitive or a neurological defect. So if I'm sad, it is a defect. So the basic idea of the human emotions is changing, and never as a consequence of circumstances. All of this simply escalates a sense of responsibility each of us feel for our own feelings, and with it, the sense of failure when things go badly. It escalates the sense of responsibility each of us feel for our own feelings, and with it, the sense of failure. So it escalates the sense of failure when things go badly. A society that deliberately removed sources of misery such as precarious and exploitative employment may well be a happier one, but again, it starts with a but and possibly ends with a but. But we won't get there by we cannot be a happier society by making this often fleeting emotion. Fleeting is a short-lived emotion, the overarching goal, the universal. It's a fleeting emotion. We have times we are happy, but the times are limited. It cannot be an overarching goal or a universal goal. Okay, let's have a look at the questions. According to the author, wearable technologies and social media are contributing most to. Now, whenever we see questions, one of the easiest way of answering the questions is to refer to the places where the question might be asked from. Now, when we see wearable technologies, now I see wearable technologies at the end of the first paragraph. Wearable technologies such as Spire offer data-driven advice on how to reduce stress. They offer data-driven advice on how to reduce stress. Depression is a thing of the past. No. They offer data-driven advice on how to reduce stress, disciplining individuals to be happy. Offering advice on individuals to be happy or disciplining individuals to be happy. Happiness as a personal project has been mentioned in the last part of the passage, making individuals aware of the stress in their lives. They are not doing this. This also cannot be the answer. From the passage, we would infer that the author would like economists to correlate measurements of happiness with economic indicators. That is what they are doing right now. Then the author is not happy about it. Work closely to understand human behavior. That's again not something that the author would like to do, because this is something that is happening and this is creating all the more intrusive technology. Incorporate psychological findings into their research cautiously. Obviously, yes, because that is what the author is saying. But we won't get there by making this often fleeting emotion the overarching goal. There are areas such as when we want to, they're talking in terms of precarious and exploitative employment. Such sources of misery, if they are removed, perfectly fine. But if we make it our overarching goal, we cannot remove misery. So the author wants the scientists to be careful where they are using these happiness indicators and what they want to achieve with these human indicators. So option 3 is the correct answer. Let's move further. In the author's opinion, the shift in thinking in the 1970s is being taught in reference to where depression or sadness became a neurological defect and people became a cognitive or neurological in the effect, and all this simply escalates the sense of responsibilities. It puts greater stress on me that I now have to be happy all the time. Okay, so when we see this, 1970s, so depression or sadness came to be viewed as a neurological defect, one. Second, it escalates the sense of responsibility that we have for our own feelings. We cannot be unhappy. We have to be happy. That introduces greater stress. So put people in touch with their own feelings. No. Reflected the emergence of neuroscience. No. Introduced greater stress into people's lives as they were expected to be responsible for their own happiness. Third one, is the correct answer almost a direct question from the passage? The author's view would be undermined. Undermined technically as a word means, when I look at the word undermined, it means weakened. So when I say undermined, it technically means the word weakened. By which of the following research findings? A proliferation of groups that are collecting data on customer well-being. So this is something like we are talking in terms of inclusive technology, how inclusive technology has become. The first one goes in line with the authors. It's definitely move towards adoption of wearable technology, again in line with the author's point of view. Stakeholders are globally moving away. They are moving towards, not away from collecting data on the well-being of individuals. So third one here is the correct answer. It weakens the stance that what the author says. Individuals worldwide are utilizing technology to monitor and increase their well-being. This is again in line with what the author is trying to say, how wearable technology and the use of wearable technology is proliferating. According to the author, Dubai, so we talked in terms of how they were trying to monitor CCTV cameras, facial expressions. So Dubai collaborates with Facebook, no. Incentivizes companies, no. Develops sophisticated technologies to monitor its inhabitants' states of mind, facial expression, CCTV cameras. The answer is yes. So if we see this passage, most of the questions are direct from the passage. If we are able to pinpoint or highlight areas from where the questions have been asked in the passage, and if we read a line above and a line below the part where the question has been asked from, we'll be able to answer the questions easily. I hope the session was helpful for all of you. If you have liked watching this video, do click on the subscribe button. Thank you, all of you.